today I have a very rock and roll motherfucking guest called Johnny Cash. I don't know if you've heard of him, but pretty bloody cool. Today we're going to talk about his book and also how a lot of what he says relates to the modern world of literature. So, let's get rocky, shall we? My work life has been simple. Cotton as a youth and music as an adult. In between, I was an automobile factory worker in Michigan, a radio intercept operator for the United States Air Force in Germany, and a door-to-door appliance salesman for the home equipment company of Memphis, Tennessee. I was a great radio operator and a terrible salesman. I hated the assembly line. First off, before we go any further about this book, I wanted to explain how this one line basically runs true through a lot of these, this generations of artists such as Elvis, the Beats that came on, even Bukowski, who's a bit later on than this. They all kind of came from this world of writing, singing, creating their way out of these factories, cotton picking fields. They all came out screaming. Artists back then rose up from the factories. They saw life before they were anything. These days, the kids become famous before they know the world. And I think that kind of relates to why a lot of the stuff going on is so fucking stagnant. Like, if you just look at the modern pop culture, it's, to be honest, it's fucking crap. I mean, it's all following the same trend lines. You know, you listen to a song and there's no soul in it. It's just ego. Or it's just plastic shit wrapped in generic beats. And the thing that really hits me, especially with this book, I just think it's so important for artists to live fully, to understand how it is to suffer, how it is to work these shit jobs, how it is to relate to the everyday person before they're put on that pedestal and treated as gods. You can read in his lyrics, in Cash's lyrics, if you go to his music, you know, all these characters that he writes about and sings about, they're all these struggling everyday countrymen. They're all full of soul. They're all full of his soul because he was there and he saw how shit the world can be. And he decided to be a sort of beacon of hope for all those that are going through this crap. He kind of has something to cling on to, and he has something that they can relate to, and the only way to do that is to live through it. And I really believe that, you know, even myself, I've worked my fair share of shit jobs, you know, vaccinating 12,000 chickens in a shed in one day in the summer of Australia, working in King Brown snake infested fields pulling weeds, working dishwasher jobs, you know, working construction sites where they nearly decapitate my head because, well, the boss is a cunt. It all became content. It all became relation to those people who are, you know, going through these hard times and they just want something to grab onto to kind of, you know, to help their way through. I relate to Johnny Cash so much because he comes from nothing and he clawed and scratched his way into becoming something. And it proves that no matter where you come from, you can be something too. I can be something too. All of us can be something. So yeah, I mean, I guess this review is not so much about the book. It's more the soul inside the pages, really. There's another line that really hits me. Are there still places where a young boy can leave his house after breakfast with just a fishing pole and spend the whole day rambling and adventuring alone, unsupervised and unafraid, trusted and unfeared for? Perhaps there are. I hope so. But I suspect otherwise. I think that even such places do exist. Our televisions have blinded us to them. I mean, come on. It's so relatable to these days. Hang on, let me have a sip of tea because my voice, I'm screaming at you right now. One sec. I'm going to read it from here because I can't see very well. I fell in love with these lines because I feel like his words hold so much truth for today. I wonder, how many kids nowadays go outside and play wizards and warlocks or sword battles against invisible monsters? Because now we have VR, iPhones. Distractions from our own imagination that is slowly dumbing us down and the generations to come. I mean, for teenagers and adults, these devices are somewhat okay because, well, your brain's already developed by then. But for little children, surely it's better to send your kid out without an iPhone, without a VR, outside to kind of try influence your kids to use their imagination, to better their creativity for the future. The more the kids use their imagination, well, the more creative they're going to be when they grow up, aren't they? If you give a 3-year-old an iPhone to catch Pokemon on the screen, what is the chance they'll be able to imagine catching Pokemon in their head when they've already got a screen to do all the work of the imagination for them? I mean, I remember, going for bike rides as a kid, making dens in the woods, pretending to ward off ghosts and goblins, with my friends, imagining it all. But now I really don't know if children would be doing that. I mean, if they are, hallelujah. And, well, if you're a parent and you're sending your kid out without a phone, without a device and try to get them play with their imagination, you're an awesome parent. Like, rock on. But, I'm sure that the children would play with their imagination if their parents pushed them off their video games and iPhones to go out and play outside. Because at the end of the day, kids are kids, and no matter how fast technology grows, kids will always be kids. Kids will always have imaginations. They will always have creativity. I just worry that with the rise of technology and a replacement for our imagination, I just worry that what will happen for the future of creativity, will it become as rare as fucking gold, Johnny said, "Is there anything behind the symbols of modern country? Or are the symbols themselves the whole story? Are the hats, the boots, the pickup trucks and the honky-tonky poses all that's left of a distinguishing culture? Back in Arkansas, a way of life produced a certain kind of music. Does a certain kind of music now produce a way of life? Maybe that's okay, I don't know." And that's what he said. And I've got another piece to back this too. I think we're going into more of a philosophy talk than bloody book review, but anyways. Artists back then rose from the fields, the factories, the dead-end jobs. They rose with a fist, a spit, a kick in the teeth. The guts to get them out of their misery. And a lot of artists back then were beat down by the ways of the world. They sung and wrote and acted as if their gifts given them to by God was their way out of those dark, dark places. You don't have to read far in this book to get extremely inspired about what could be, of a renaissance of art, because there is artists out there who are exactly like what it was before, but they're kind of pushed to the side. But it's quite sad when you think about artists today, because back then artists lived before they wrote. They truly lived before they wrote. They wrote and created their way out of their dead-end lives. Whereas nowadays, young kids, well, they find success from their fucking bedrooms before they know the world, before they know, how hurtful this world can be. And as you say, with suffering comes wisdom. And without it, well, you don't really know what's going on. It's not your fault. You think you know. The problem is, even myself, when I was like 18, 19, I honestly thought I knew everything. I was very ignorant and naive. In a way, it was blissful because it got me to places where I probably wouldn't be able to get to today because I was just so fucking ignorant. But I do think to kind of make a deeper impact, you kind of got to take your time, and you've got to go through all these experiences and not get beat too down until you give up. You just got to get beat just enough. I think I'm a fucking sadist, to be honest. These kids became before they had the chance to taste the zinc of dead-end dream chasing. And with the rise of social media, internet celebrities, aesthetics, all comes with the incineration of real, honest work. I kind of think this quote relates to the current state of modern literature as well. I mean, to be a successful modern writer, you kind of need to submit yourself to the rise of internet aesthetics, such as dark academia, or whatever the hell the next one is. And sadly, with aesthetic comes topical trends to write about. It's sad, but, it's true. And when you think about it, on one hand, it's fantastic that a trend is bringing young people into reading literature. Like, it's fucking fantastic. In a way, it's a great renaissance in that aspect. But there is a downside to it, and I believe that the focus of appearance, of looking like classical and reading classical. And if you're not actually reading, you just kind of trying to look the part, it's pretty fucking stupid. And that's kind of what's happening now, that you just look on social media and you see all these aesthetically pleasing writers, influencers, talking about literature, talking about reading, writing. Half of them are fucking writing. They're all just looking the part, and people are eating it, and I think it's a bit fucking stupid. Anyways, what am I? I'm like a moaner. But for a writer now to become successful on social media without following one of these cool trends is extremely bloody difficult. Even if the next Hemingway was out there, and I'm pretty sure they probably are, and maybe it's you watching this, who knows. But if there is one, I'm pretty sure they would never get seen unless they looked the part, dressed the part, wrote to their narrative of what's trending on social media today. Because the algorithm is fucking king. It determines the narrative on trends. If you write to the trend and create a post that looks nice to the trend, you'll get the saves, you'll get the likes. And in a way, you'll rise on social media by following what it wants you to follow. What we've got out of this algorithm literature, what we've got out of this social media literature is pretty much shit poetry and fancy photos wearing old-fashioned clothes or lots of books with boobs hanging out. But also, because of this forceful influence, it gives the true artists a reason to come together and create art that isn't trendy, that's real, that's ripped from their lives and those around them. It gives writers a cause to rebel against. Like, I honestly think that it's not hopeless, because there are so many amazing writers out there right now that I'm reading on social media. Like Eddie Black, is amazing, and then Dead Gun Poetry that I've just come across as well, amazing. And there's so Jaden Poetry is pretty amazing. He's one of my best mates. But there's so many amazing writers out there, but they just get brushed to the side because they don't write about trendy shit. They write about real shit. And people don't want to know about real shit apparently on social media. They just want to live in a fantasy. Like this YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure if I just had a white background, well, it is a white background. Anyways, I tried to make it look better so you can watch it. But I do believe that all these writers, if they all come together and create this big collective, there is chance for a new, real, honest, this kind of quality literature to spawn. I mean, just look at this one, Cult of the Cactus Boots. Fucking fantastic. Amazing. And when he released that book, you can see a whole crew of literary heads hovering to him because his book's so good. And I think there kind of is no Cult of the Cactus Boots for this kind of literature. I mean, with There's a Tale to the City, to be honest, I think it's a great book. This is, my book and Jaden and R.C. Walden's book. It's about the street of Melbourne. And to be honest, I think it's a fantastic book. We've got some really good reviews on it. And it's a proof of concept, really, that 3 writers can come together and create something pretty special. And this is what kind of came out of it. If you think about it, look at Johnny Cash. You've got Elvis, Johnny Cash, Bob Dylan. They all became famous. Not really because their work so much, but it's more because they built this kind of trend in a way, but amazing trend of real, raw storytelling. And I think we can do this, with modern literature these days. It doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be literature. It can be art. It can be, photography. It can be anything. But if enough people get together and create a wave, because one person is a small wave, but 100 people is a tsunami. And that's kind of what it's going to take to get really quality literature back on track. That's kind of what I think. I mean, I like a certain type of literature that maybe someone else won't like, but this is what I like, and I feel like what I like is dead. But it's not dead. It's just stagnant. It's just suffocated, and I think we can pull off that noose and make something good. But there's not. I don't really want to go into too much detail about this book, because you just need to read it. So to end the video, which I've kind of talked about a lot of topics, I hope you enjoyed, is I'm gonna give you a song that I actually wrote inspired by this book. Yeah, it's a bit weird me singing, but I'll give it a go. Voiceover, play. Baby, I know I tell you my dream will come true 10 times too often. And I know it breaks your heart when you see me fail every time, all the time, but it's okay. Baby, I know you feel uncomfortable when you hear me mumble I don't care. When strangers tell me I should be focusing my time on a job that pays the wage instead of an irresponsible fantasy that will never come true. But my words, I don't care, my words mean true. They always do. My writing, my raw words ripped from my bleeding heart, they're all I've got to beat the doubters before they beat me bloody and escape from a world that wants to strangle me. As the years have gone by, failing again and again, I think I've become a sadist. Because strangers' doubts now excite me. Their doubts have become the fuel to my rocket that burns in the fire of my thrusters, that helps me keep on climbing past the clouds into space to a place where dreams become reality. And while I fly on up to this place that feels as far as the moon, I write that all there is to see through my foggy little window. I write my journey. Baby, I know I tell you my dream will come true 10 times too often. And I know it breaks your heart when you see me fail every time, all the time. But baby, I promise it's going to be okay. Because I will make it into space, the place where all my dreams will come true. And you will be there too, because you have been with me through and through, failure after failure, since the time I can remember. And I guess, baby, if nothing works out, I have still succeeded, because I found you looking through my window. So I guess, no matter what, it's going to be okay.